We're going to be talking to one of our students, Mitch, who's going to be sharing his experience with us, talking about moving from the music industry into cybersecurity. And I'm really excited to chat to Mitch. He now works at Macquarie Bank, and we're going to understand all about his experience with learning people and some of the stuff that he's up to now in cybersecurity. Quick intro for me. I'm Jono, head of marketing here at Learning People, company based in Brisbane, over from our offices in England. We've got over 40,000 students around the world in the UK, Ireland, in New Zealand, and also in Australia. And over the 13 years that we've been around, we've seen exponential growth. We offer career-ready education to anyone, really, anyone who's looking to change career, start career, climb the ladder, and we're all about getting you into new roles, giving you the best career pathways, partnered with the biggest accreditors in the world, the likes of CompTIA and CySA, and all of the biggest certification bodies, to give you the best skills aligned to what employers are looking for, and then support you into employment as well. I'm going to do some intros with the other guys on the session. Then we're going to talk to Mitch, and then we've got a Q&A as well. So if you have got any specific questions about the learning people, about cybersecurity, just pop them into the chat and we can filter through them throughout the session. So yeah, please do that. Julia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I'm Julia. I'm the head of career services here in Australia and New Zealand. What my division does is look after our students from an employability perspective. So once you enrol with us, you will be looked after by a student care team, but then you'll be looked after by my team as well in terms of helping you navigate that employment market. And quite a lot of you, it's quite a new experience if you're doing a career change as well. In the simplest form, what we do is roll out our career services process over 3 parts. The first part is a CV consultation, ensuring that it looks marketable, technical, and showcases all your transferable skills. Same process that we do with your LinkedIn profile as well. But then the second part is all about networking and that job application process. So big part of that is using LinkedIn, and we'll coach you through how to use that platform. And then the third and final part is really interview preparation. So we do tailor that towards the student and the job that they're going for. So once you've actually secured an interview, you'll send us through your job description, and we will, or the advertisement, and we will try and help you prepare. Well, we will help you prepare for that interview with behavioural-based interviewing techniques. There might be some technical testing conducted as well, but yeah, we're there to hold your hand through that whole process.
And you do a great job with it as well. So we boast a really high stat. 97% of our students who complete career services manage to secure employment, which we're super proud of. The career services team do a fantastic job. Sydney, would you like to? This is your first webinar as well.
It is. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, sure. I'm Sydney. I'm one of the team managers in the Christchurch office. So yeah, I guess today talking about cybersecurity, which is one of the awesome courses that we provide for our students. Yeah, so that's what I am and what I do.
Great. So we're going to ask Sydney and Julia some questions later on, and also Mitch to join in and have a kind of an open forum. So do put some questions in the chat. Obviously, cybersecurity is just in the headlines every single day at the moment, all around the world. But there's been a particular focus in Australia, what with the recent attacks on Optus, Medibank, Woolworths, Smiledeal. There's loads, and it's every single day. There's more and more happening. Just been looking at some recent stats. And it's pretty frightening, really. So the ACSC, which is Australian Cybersecurity Centre, said that in their recent threat report, they've received 67,500 cyber crime reports in 2020 to 21, which is up 13% on the previous year. But that equates down to 1 report every 8 minutes of a cyber attack. Experts have said that there's a skills shortage. We know that for every 3 certified professionals, for every 1 certified professional, there's only 3 jobs available. So there's a 0% unemployment rate. And currently cybercrime is costing businesses of any size an average crime, which can be pretty unsophisticated as well, about $25,000. So it's individuals, it's businesses, it's in the news every day. So we need cyber professionals. So Mitch, it's great to have you with us today. Thanks for taking the time out to join us. How you doing?
Thanks, Jono. Thanks for having me today. My name's Michiya, or you can just call me Mitch. Up until maybe 2 years ago, I was working in the music industry. I actually taught classical piano. I ran a music studio. I did a whole bunch of stuff. I guess COVID had a big impact on our industry and many others. It just kind of decimated the whole ecosystem. That's when I sort of started thinking about a potential career change, and that's when I approached the Learning People, and it's been an amazing journey so far.
Which it's fascinating. So we support students from many different industries, and I actually studied a music production degree, so I've been super excited about talking to you, Mitch, and then why you decided to have a career change. So was it predominantly because it was the music industry is a difficult industry, or there wasn't many opportunities, and why cybersecurity? Was it something that you knew you wanted to get into, or was it advised to? Yeah,
absolutely. I guess music has always been a difficult industry. COVID just signified that aspect. I ran a music studio with a whole bunch of friends from the conservatorium, which is where I graduated from. Predominantly, we ran events, had mixing, mastering sessions, recording sessions. That was our primary income. When the lockdowns happened, it just cut out that entire kind of stream of revenue. And that's when we started rethinking, shifting to an online model. But yeah, obviously there were many challenges with that. I guess the way cybersecurity came into all this was I ran a lot of operational aspects with the music studio. So setting up the website, very techie stuff. I actually found myself working more in the tech industry than the music industry half the time. So that was sort of the gateway into cybersecurity. The reason I was drawn specifically to security was actually from a networking aspect. Now, Jono, you could probably add on to this. There's so many similarities between an audio engineer and a network engineer. I remember doing the first course. I think I did the Network Plus with you guys first, and the instructor was, I think his name was Michael J. Shannon. And the very first video we saw, he introduced himself and he said, I used to be a recording studio engineer. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, yes, that's something I can relate on. So yeah, and if you study networking, there's a lot of terms and parallels between the two industries, which kind of just fit everything into place.
So you had an idea that you wanted to say move into IT cybersecurity. So when you contacted the Learning People, did you say I want to get into cybersecurity and then look at the career pathways here?
Yep. So I kind of had 2 pathways in my mind at the time when contacting the Learning People. I was either going to do a master's degree in cybersecurity or go down the kind of certificate path. And I did a lot of research. And came to the conclusion that certs are a bit more kind of tailored and specific, which is what this industry needs now, rather than a kind of blanket degree. There's a lot more demand in specific skill sets within cybersecurity, and that's something I kind of wanted to explore.
So, I mean, that's interesting, isn't it? Because we do find that a lot of people, well, we talk about the comparison between university, and obviously all of our training is online, it's self-paced, you do it around your busy lifestyle. And university obviously has a place, but it doesn't really guarantee you a job unless you're training to be a doctor or a vet, or something like that. And were you aware of that, knowing that within a relatively short amount of time, once you've passed your certifications, the demand is huge and you're likely to get a role? Was that appealing for you?
Absolutely. I think you mentioned the 97% stat before. Yeah, that was very appealing when hearing that. And yeah, within 6 months, I landed a role, so I can definitely vouch for that.
Which is fantastic, and we hear similar stories, but obviously you do have to put the effort in. Obviously you can't just enroll with us and be given a job. Although saying that, we have seen a lot of people who are enrolling and saying that on LinkedIn are being headhunted because they're studying the relevant certs, which is what I want to talk about now, Mitch. So how did you find the certifications? Which certs have you studied and passed?
So at the very start, I started off with the Network Plus by CompTIA. I then moved on to Security Plus, CySA Plus, then Pentest Plus. I've since also completed this CISA, the Certified Information Systems Auditor, and also the CISP, so CISSP.
And did you know all of those certifications existed, or that you needed to study those before you came to the Learning People, or were they advised by your career consultant?
No, I wasn't aware of it, but upon researching, I kind of picked out the best vendors, and the course I enrolled with you guys was the Certified Ethical Hacker bundle, which had a wide range of certs that I could tackle. Which is very appealing.
So in terms of actually doing the studying, how much time were you able to put into it each week?
At one stage, I was basically doing it full time. And on top of the video modules, I was also doing extra resources on the side. You've probably heard of Try Hack Me or Hack the Box. Those also kind of really helped push your technical abilities, as well as the kind of governance theory based learning modules. I thought that was a very important aspect to kind of learn from a few different resources in parallel.
Yeah.
But yeah, once I landed the job, I actually got a job as a IT auditor first at a company called Grant Thornton. And once I started working full-time there, I guess the rate of studies did slow down significantly, but yeah, the modules, I guess, are divided up in such a digestible way, where if you have a spare 30 minutes, you can easily just knock off a few videos and learn a small subtopic. So that was very helpful as well.
Did you find it interesting?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a whole new world to me. And I guess I always get sparked by kind of magic. Music has that certain sense of magic, and cybersecurity also does. When you input a certain code and something happens in the computer and you get the right result, there's nothing better than that feeling. And yeah, it takes a bit of time, but eventually people get there, and yeah, it's a very rewarding industry to be in.
So let's talk about the roles then. So once you enroll with us, obviously you as an exclusive benefit being a student, you work with career services. How quickly after enrolling did you reach out to career services and start working with them?
About 4 to 5 months. Yeah, within 4 to 5 months, I had done 2 certs and I was studying the third one. And that point, I think it was Tabitha at the time said, I think you're ready to start applying for jobs. And that's when the conversation happened there.
Which is a relatively short amount of time, isn't it? After kind of transferring from one industry into another one, within 5-6 months, you're ready to start applying for roles. And so what part of career services did you enjoy and did you find kind of most memorable?
Yeah, so there was a process where the advisor walked through the entire process of getting your resume or CV prepared. That was very helpful. You know, it was more like a conversation where you receive feedback and you make your adjustments, send it back. So there's a lot of back and forth, and it was a very caring process, which also gave the confidence to kind of send that to people, because that is your kind of introduction to most employers, and getting that framework kind of spot on with someone to interact with, that was very helpful.
And in terms of interviews, how did you find interviews in terms of, like, what was the dynamics? Were they on Zoom, or could you go face to face at this point because of COVID?
No, at that stage it was all face to face. Yeah, there was no, sorry, it was on Zoom. There was no face to face.
Yeah, right. And because that's a completely different experience as well, isn't it? Obviously, getting interviewed on Zoom. Did you find it challenging, or were you kind of fully equipped, knowing that you'd got that new knowledge, kind of new skill base, that you were ready to answer any kind of challenging questions thrown at you?
Fortunately for me, I guess I studied Security Plus, CySA Plus, which is a lot more technical in terms of cybersecurity, with tools and processes. Going to an auditing firm where they do IT audits, which it's a bit more of a kind of an overview of the sector. Having that kind of specific technical knowledge really helped in the interview process, because I found that I was dealing with a lot of kind of business-minded people rather than the technical cybersecurity professional. So I was able to find that niche and find a place within that space.
And so when did you move into the role at Macquarie Bank?
That was about 5 months ago. Yeah.
Can you give us kind of a brief overview of what that job entails?
Absolutely. So I'm a cyber defense analyst, and basically I work very closely with the SOC team and perimeter defense for Macquarie Bank customers and Macquarie assets.
And do you, obviously, I'm not sure how much you can talk about this, but do you go into an office, or do you work remotely?
A bit of both.
Bit of both,
Yeah.
Great. And are you happy there?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a great company to be working with.
Brilliant. It's amazing to hear your story, and to achieve so much success in such a short amount of time. I know it's going to inspire people on this session, and obviously we record this session and put it onto YouTube, and it will inspire people. Let's ask some questions to our experts, Julia and Sydney, as well. So the first question from Luke is to Julia. What types of entry-level positions are there in cybersecurity, and what does the career ladder look like?
Right. The entry-level positions are more than likely going to be, the job titles will be cybersecurity analyst or a SOC analyst. That's the more commonly used terminology in the market, but you will find there'll be varying degrees of that across the board with different organisations, job title there, but it is the entry-level side of it. From there, you can diversify. I normally recommend for people to work in the industry first before sort of trying to really map out that career ladder for yourself, because it's a bit of an unknown. But you can go into, risk and governance, auditing, like Mitch was talking about, engineering, development, all within that cybersecurity space. Penetration testing is huge. So there's lots of different areas, and probably the words I'm using at the moment are quite foreign, but it makes more sense when you're working in the industry. All you need is that foot in the door, like Michiya got, and then you can map out from there what specialty you want to move into.
Can you just while we're talking to you, Julia, discuss some of the salaries for entry-level roles and as you climb up the ladder? The
salaries for entry-level roles?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to depend on state. So where Michiya is, you're probably looking around about that 90K mark. probably about the same in Victoria as well. Maybe a little bit less up in Brisbane, but sort of around that sort of mark, what you'd be looking at.
As an entry level role to walk into,
yeah. One of our students got offered 115, but that was the highest I've seen, and possibly a little bit unusual. But she was being sought after and had multiple offers, so the money was just being thrown at her. But that's the highest that I've seen it for entry level. But then it will just escalate quickly. A couple of years down the track, you might be looking, 1,000 a day, which I think it's what's that, over 200,000 a year kind of thing. So yeah.
Wow.
But you've got to keep your skills fresh. You've got to keep those certifications high, all that kind of thing throughout the journey.
Sure. Okay. So it's a lucrative industry, and from what Mitch has said, it's exciting as well. And I assume you're on your toes all the time. Sydney, this is from Valerie. What transferable skills are useful for a career in cybersecurity?
Yeah, look, that's a really good question. Kind of when looking at cybersecurity, you need three main things. You need to specialize in a specific area, and you need to have technical skills. Those are teachable, I guess, in a sense, and what we help with. But the third thing that you need is transferable skills, which is much harder to teach. This is why it's very valuable to an employer, but I also find with transferable skills, they can definitely be undervalued a lot from people looking at doing a career change. So kind of regardless of your current or past occupation, there are a lot of key skills for career progression that people do undervalue. So, communication, collaboration, adaptability, problem solving, leadership, they're just kind of a few to name. I think a lot of people have the typical mindset of when you are working in IT, you're kind of just in a dark room on a computer, looking at ones and zeros is a typical movie sense, but kind of whether you're communicating technical systems in simpler terms to stakeholders, whether you're educating staff or consumers on how to be better prepared, or when you need attention to detail and adaptability when you've got a threat to the system. They are very valuable, and I think a lot of people have a lot to offer that they may not realize. So yeah, a lot of transferable skills is relative to cyber.
Mitch, obviously you talked about audio engineering in terms of transferable skills into networking and cybersecurity. What was your actual career consultant like when you made the phone call to Learning People? You had an idea you wanted to go into cybersecurity. What actually happened in that consultation?
That's the very first consultation.
That's the very first call. Yeah, you're assigned to a career consultant, and then you talk about your aspirations. That you might want to start a career in cybersecurity and be advised onto the right pathway.
Absolutely. I remember, I was sitting on the fence on the phone call, and he straight up told me, "What is your gut saying?" And I followed my gut. Simple as that. I've done the research. I equipped myself with a multitude of, I guess, pathways that I was looking at the time. But yeah, cybersecurity kind of spoke to me the most there. And I guess the fact that there was kind of a quick turnover in terms of getting jobs, that was a very appealing factor as well.
And throughout, whilst you're studying with this, did you felt like you were well supported from student care as well?
Absolutely, yeah. Student care was spot on at the Learning People.
Did you have to reach out to them much in terms of, were there any challenging situations where you needed support?
No, but when it came down to, I guess, the job interview resume prepping section, that was something I wasn't kind of really experienced in. I guess coming from music, you barely write your resume in that industry. It's more like
right.
people networking skills, which was something that I'm really glad that I went through, because that's a transferable skill from that sector. But yeah, the kind of formal resume writing aspect really helped.
It's interesting because as a musician, your music is your CV and your resume, isn't it?
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah.
There's a question.
There was a saying, so your Spotify is your resume. That was kind of a saying that was.
It's absolutely right. So there's a couple more questions that I want to come back to you, Mitch. There's on the chat, Matthew's asked, at what point during training, this is probably best for Julia, at what point during training would you advise that we contact the career services team? Now for Mitch, we reached out to you kind of 5 months in, saying that you're ready to start looking at interviews. What would you say, Julia? Because obviously everybody's different.
Yeah, look, what we do is, and Mitch here would have had this as well, is that when he enrolls, for example, Tabitha was his career consultant, she would have called him for a couple of minutes and basically said, do you want to start working with us now or wait? Rule of thumb for me that I tell the team is Security Plus is quite a good certification to gain before, and once you gain that, to start looking, and that's kind of around that 3, 4, 5 month mark, which is exactly what Michiya has done. It's a bit of a golden ticket. It does showcase some technical skills. However, if you want to start looking for work now, immediately with us, we will tailor that to suit you. So there's no automated rule of, first 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and then we're cut. We will tailor it to suit you, because some people have families, they're working full time. It's a lot to take on to re-enter studying, working, family, and then looking for work. So it really does depend on how comfortable and ready you are to do that. But in terms of skill ready for the market, Security Plus is a kind of a good marker, which is about the 3rd or 4th certification, and with most collections that we've got.
Question from Darius, who says, Matthew says, thank you, Julia, you're welcome. Darius, who says, my background has been in mortgage broking for a couple of years. As a 40-year-old, just about to complete a cybersecurity certification, what does my prospects look like short-term living in regional Queensland? So there's a couple of questions there in terms of is age a barrier, and is cybersecurity, what are the opportunities in Queensland? Anyone want to take that one?
Sorry, I'll talk if you want to. In terms of your background and experience, it kind of doesn't matter, because the training is what gives you that skill set and that knowledge. So majority of our students, and I know it sounds cliche, 95% of our students are career changers, which they are at Learning People ANZ. So everyone is in the same position as you are, making a career change. The age barrier, 40 is not an age barrier. I'm 43. I think you'll be fine. It's just more of us holding your hand with tackling a different industry, helping you understand the language and the lingo that's used in the industry as well, how to apply for roles, because it's sort of, if you just sat it on the job boards and waited for a role to come to you, that can be quite challenging. So regional Queensland, yeah, the roles are anywhere and everywhere. Michiya is working a hybrid split at Macquarie Bank at the moment. That's quite common with a lot of roles, could be hired purely for working from home. And it was always relatively common within IT, but since COVID, it's changed across every industry really, and lots of people demand that, to be able to work from home as their flexible working hours. So I hope that's answered the question. Did I get to that in a roundabout way?
I think you did. I think you answered it on many levels. Did anyone have anything to add? Darius says thank you, so you absolutely did.
Must have answered.
Yes, 2 thanks. You're doing well today. Mitch, in terms of the age graphic of people that you work with, is there a specific age, or is it all ages?
Where I work, there tends to be a lot more senior people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm probably one of the youngest there at the moment.
So yeah, which obviously answers that question again. The 40 is no age at all. A few more questions. I'm conscious of time. Everyone's got things to do. Sydney, how is your learning platform different from other providers? That's from James.
Yeah, cool. So, I mean, the platform's very user-friendly for both beginner and advanced levels, because I know we're talking majority of our students are career changers, but we also do have people like Michiya, who's, has a little bit of IT knowledge, and also IT professionals. So, I mean, the way that the platform is laid out is each topic has lectures and interactive exercises, so you're learning the skills as you go. There are constant self-assessment quizzes as well throughout to test your knowledge, as well as unlimited practice exams. You can gain not only the confidence, but the knowledge as well for the exam. It also caters for a lot of different learning styles. So there's a large library. So if you're an Audible learner, there's audiobooks, visual, you've got the lectures or the text on there. For a lot of people as well, because they do have quite busy lifestyles, there is an app which you can put on your phone. So as Mitchie was saying before, fitting 30 minutes in while you're on a commute to work or cooking dinners makes study very achievable in busy lives. But I think the most important thing on the platform is the labs. So you're training in a live environment on a live network. So the interface will look exactly the same as your exam in the workplace. So the transition from study at home to kind of your first day on the job is seamless, because to be honest, you will be making mistakes, you will be breaking things, that's how we learn. But as long as you're doing it on a controlled environment and you're not on your first day in the office, it's good. The thing is, as well, as Mitchie was saying before, unlimited support from a mentor, who is an industry expert. So it's kind of imperative that when you're learning something new, you have the support there. And also, I guess the platform is just very easy to follow. The way that I describe it to students is it's kind of like Netflix in a sense where it's segmental. So you can kind of pick what you're going into. You'll get advised specific books or training. It's very AI orientated, I guess. So very easy to follow. Very advanced.
And we touched on it talking about the experience, which is pretty, I guess, key for going into cybersecurity and working with practice labs. Did you utilize the practice labs much, Mitch?
Absolutely, yeah. I think the Network Plus practice labs were the best in my experience. They were very, very detailed and explore a wide range of environments as well. So you'd be working on Windows machines, you'd be working on Linux boxes. Yeah, very versatile.
Did you manage to break machines and then fix them again? Was it?
No, but I did have to restart the machine multiple times.
Okay, well, that's it. And obviously having real world experience hacking into these machines is what employers want to see, and that gives you the option to do that, rather than which could potentially cost businesses thousands if you're breaking them. A couple more questions. Vic says, I don't know if anyone's asked this already, but can you do the course while working full time? Yeah, we've just discussed that the training is aligned to work around people who are studying full time, have families. That's the beauty of it. It's all about studying online, and it's self-paced. Leah says, it was mentioned that Security Plus was the third or fourth certification in the packages available. What are the certifications recommended for people who are doing a career change and starting cybersecurity from scratch?
Yeah, so I guess this is why it's so important to talk to a career consultant. When you discuss with them the background and the skill level that you've got, then we can advise on the right training for you. So for Michiya, for instance, he did have a little bit of knowledge with his audio background, so it's not a cookie cutter method. We do want to have a chat with you, and we do want to make sure we have the right collection or the right certification for you. As far as the Security Plus, yeah, that would be in that collection that we were discussing, would be the third or so. What you would start at as a beginner was still a CompTIA certification, so it'd be the CompTIA A+. So this is teaching you all the basics of hardware and software, right down to, you know, what cables are called, very basic stuff. So what I like to say is, as long as you can open and send an email, that's enough knowledge that you need to start training. But yeah, very important to talk to a career consultant so we can make sure we've got the right course for you.
Great. And then John asked a similar question: do I need a degree to get into IT? Well, no, absolutely not. Obviously, if Sydney's talking about sending an email, these courses are designed to get you to go from novice to pro and into a new career. Mitch, just a couple of questions. What advice would you give to anyone on this session or watching looking to make a career change and move into tech and cybersecurity?
Absolutely. I would get exposure to as many resources as you can. I mean, these certs are an excellent kind of benchmark and kind of guideline to work off. But I was watching, you know, YouTube videos every day, and I was, you know, going to Hack the Box and trying modules there, going to Try Hack Me, you know, reading kind of threat intel documentation, etc. So be exposed to as many resources as you can, and come up with the kind of all-rounded perspective on the security realm.
So obviously, yeah, immerse yourself into as much, I guess, into cybersecurity as much as possible. And but would you say that your investment with the learning people has been worthwhile?
Absolutely, it has. Yeah.
Great, that's what we want to hear. Has anyone else got anything that they would like to add? No, we're good. So what I would say then, if thanks for everyone who sent in questions this evening. The next step is to have a career consultation. Get in touch with us if you're not already having a conversation already, and we can answer all of your questions in detail, understand where you currently are, what kind of career pathway you're looking at moving into. You know, cybersecurity is what this session was on, but it could be anything related to tech and IT, and we'll have that conversation with you. Daniel says, sure, I was late. Will I have access to the recording of the session? Perfect timing for that question, because yes, we've recorded it. I'm just about to say we will send it out to you in an email. This will probably come through tomorrow morning for you, and we can go from there. Mitch, thanks so much for your time. It's great to hear your story and help inspire others. And please keep in touch as your kind of career progresses. It'll be great to hear the next update. Thanks for having me, Jonna, and thanks, Julie and Cindy as well.
Thanks so much, Mitch. Yeah, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Great. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a lovely evening. We'll see you soon.